Hi, friends. Welcome back to Live with Roxy with the monthly star of the show. She has residency here, Nathalia Ramos. What's up?
I love it. I have a residency. This is so cool.
Here's how you know you have one. So a little behind the scenes of how this whole like StreamYard thing that I do to get to YouTube works is that I have all of these overlays that I save that like have, you see how it says your name right there or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it has like your image when we start. There are three
very glam image, by the way.
And only 3 people do I keep in there at all times and don't remove them when they're not here because only 3 people come back enough. And one's you, one's my friend Steph, who does the show with me every week, and one's my brother. So you guys are like,
oh my God, I'm honored. I would love, can you do like a 3-way?
With Jet?
I would love to do that. I would love to get into the politics.
He's been doing his own stuff, and he uses my Streamlabs sometimes, or StreamYards, and I know that because I see that this is here, whatever this is. So he's been in here doing stuff. The Jet set.
That looks cool. I like the I like the colors.
It does look cool.
Sorry,
guys. Nat has a new dog. She's a new
sorry. He's like growling. I swear he's been sleeping the last 5 hours while I've been working, and now he woke up and he's like crazy. He's a crazy little puppy. This is Zion.
So I feel like this was very like spur of the moment, very like
it was
whim.
It was such a whim, but look at the he's so cute.
He is really cute. Like
I am so in love. I've like never ever been so in love. Like I always I'm never gonna get a pet. I'm too busy. We can't look after it.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, you're such a jet setter, like for work and for fun. You're never in this country. Yeah. You're always traveling around. Like not to be this person, but what's your plan?
Well, it's funny because I kind of forgot about like my former life since COVID.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm literally telling myself like, I don't do anything. I'm home all day.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't go anywhere. And then I realized, well, that might change. But honestly, my boyfriend and I, like, we decided to do like we were just ready. And honestly, I'm so glad for it. Like I think COVID has changed things for a lot of people. And you know, like we were just talking before we went live about how you couldn't imagine me a few years ago being like, I'm at a farm.
Yeah.
And I'm just like very happily like just kind of slowed down.
You're adulting.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Hardcore.
Exactly. So
I'm not really happy. I also love that before the show, I was like, Nat, bring your puppy on if you want. She was like, is that okay? And I was like, I'm telling you, they're going to love it. Look at this.
He's literally,
puppy.
Look,
puppy.
He's in my lap.
Aw, so cute. Aw,
look how he's
there, puppy. For president.
Yes. Zai, you're famous.
They all
I love it.
Zion's the cutest little name.
Yeah, so we got him in Zion. Look at the face. We got him in Zion National Park. Sorry.
Is he gonna get big or is he gonna be small?
He is. No, he's half Aussie Shepherd, half Black Lab. So he'll be like a medium-sized dog. But I'm just enjoying this.
I don't even know what that is.
An Aussie Shepherd. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a medium-sized dog, long-haired. They're great dogs. They're super smart, really loyal. Really.
Look it up. I see Aussie Doodle. Aussie Shepherd. Okay, an Aussie Shepherd. Oh, I know those dogs. They look like like Lassie.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Maybe I'm off. You just gave me the.
He's gonna grow. He's gonna grow for sure. But I'm just enjoying this little puppy phase.
So,
but I swear he was sleeping until just now. He woke up and like started going crazy. So.
Nat, the last few days since everything has happened, which is a lot of things that have taken place, but everybody's been asking me, what does Nathalia think? What does Nathalia feel? Even before we had the announcement, because they wanted to know your thoughts on this. And honestly, I haven't talked much to you about how you're feeling about how everything went down. So we're going to talk about that on the show today. We're also going to talk about what happens between now and January 20th. And what that might look like. And of course, we're going to take questions and comments from you guys in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, and the Patreon for the $10 up tier, and right here in the super chat. But just in general, starting it off, Nat, how are you feeling right now about everything? Like, what is going on inside you?
Yeah, we were talking about this all last week. You were saying, do you want to come on, you know, for the election? And I kept saying, let's just wait until we have the results, because I didn't really know what to say. And for the last few days, it was torture because it really looked like it was going towards Biden, but everyone was too afraid to call it. And it's kind of ironic because everything that, we talked about and when I last came on, and all the things that like the experts were warning about, all of that happened. And we're still like, oh my God, this is happening. It's like we were prepared for it, but then when it actually happens, like we weren't emotionally prepared for it. And by that, I mean,
why was that? Because that's so true. Like Biden kept saying, keep the faith. And the Democratic Party kept saying, we asked you guys to mail in. It's going to be a process. And places like Pennsylvania kept being like, we're not allowed to start counting until the actual day. So be prepared. Yeah. And then we were all like, yeah, we're prepared. And then it happened. And we're like, what the fuck's going on? What's happening?
Exactly. It's like we had been saying we're not going to know the winner on election night. We were all prepared for that. But then when it actually happened, I think just the collective anxiety on both sides was so immense. And the president didn't do us any favors by behaving the way that he has. And this is honestly like such a fitting like ending to his presidency. He's like coming in the same way or he's leaving the same way that he came in. But he's been calling, election fraud from the very beginning. This whole thing is incredibly stressful, and his actions like don't help ease our collective anxiety at all. But what has been really promising is at least from what I've seen, gosh, I also now think like maybe I live in my own little bubble and there's so much that I don't see, but I do feel like even, Fox News reporting the election results, which side note is crazy that we're actually talking about a news outlet giving them praise for accurately reporting the election results.
I know.
But it seems like, Trump is, and we'll get into the details of this later, but Trump is like the Trump administration, I should say, and his attorneys are suing like states and local counties kind of wherever they can. And for the most part, judges have come back and been like, this is completely unfounded. And they've scrapped the cases. So we are seeing some pretty powerful pushback. And really the only thing keeping this illusion going is just rhetoric and like ideology. It's not based in any sort of fact.
So based on what you're saying right now, and you saying that you feel like this is the end of Trump being the president and that there's a lot of pushback, do you think that there is 0% chance that Trump finagles his way into a second term?
So I never want to say zero. I never want to say something is impossible, but it is, his options are incredibly limited. So I was doing some research like before coming on just to get up to date because things are changing like really, really quickly. And I'll read you some of my notes here. But it's basically all, it's all really complicated legal stuff that we don't need to get into. I'm not even a lawyer, like I can't get into it. But he has a few options, and what he's doing right now is suing to try to invalidate late arriving ballots, saying like these ballots arrived after election date, and so they can't be counted. Now, judges, for example, I think it was in Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. I think it was in Pennsylvania, but like judges in various districts scrapped that and said, well, that's unconstitutional because the people that like the rule was you have to mail it by November 3rd. So anything that was postmarked November 3rd needs to be counted because the people who mailed it were under the impression that their vote would be counted. So you can't now retroactively go back and change that. So that looks like it's not going to pass. Even if it were to pass, it's incredibly unlikely that it's going to make that much of a difference because not that many ballots came in late. And who knows, like the margins aren't there for it to actually sway the election. The same for a recount. He can try to push for a recount and all, he's doing it right now in Wisconsin. In Georgia, there will be an automatic recount if the margin is less than 1,500 votes. Mm-hmm. So there very well could be recounts. And all that's going to do is drag on the process because the numbers just aren't there to sway things in his favor. And historically speaking, I don't think ever a recount has changed the votes to sway an election other than Bush v. Gore, which we can also talk about. But that was a crazy scenario that was really unprecedented. And even the Supreme Court, when they finally ruled on that case, they actually said that this decision is not bound by precedent.
So that's something that I think is really relevant to talk about right now, because you and I are within a year of each other. So we grew up at the same time and we experienced Bush v. Gore in probably the same way, which is that
I was in Florida.
I knew, oh wow, that's crazy. I knew what was happening, but I didn't care that much because I didn't understand how much politics affect our lives. And B, didn't understand the real difference between the Electoral College and the like why more people had voted for the popular vote, just everything. I just didn't know enough to even ask the right question.
Of course, we were kids.
But looking back now, it seems so strange to me because they were able to stop the count. They were able to say, stop counting the votes at that time, which I am confused by now. And I don't understand did Gore actually lose that election, or is that just what we decided? Like, that whole election now is so confusing to me. Are you clear on everything?
So I'm not fully clear in the sense of, like, I should not be the authority to speak to this. It is incredibly, incredibly complicated. But what happened was Florida was so close. Like, again, the margins were so close. And there's this crazy story of John Bolton. I believe that's who it was. John Bolton is someone who now had a position in the Trump administration, but I'm almost positive it was John Bolton, like, went into a Florida counting room and was like, I'm here I'm a representative of the Bush campaign. Stop counting.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, and he wasn't even really officially a representative, but there were there's all these crazy stories. And then on top of that, Jeb Bush, George Bush's brother, was the governor of Florida. So there were like all of these stories and whatever. People, are skeptical and whatnot about what happened. But at the end of the day, the Supreme Court ruled it was 5-4. So it wasn't an obvious choice. It wasn't like black and white.
Yeah.
It's really complicated. But they did rule that Florida, I can't remember the details of it, but I can recommend, if you guys are interested in it, listen to Throughline podcast, NPRs Throughline. I'm now forgetting all the details, of course, but they did a really, really good episode that kind of broke down what exactly happened. And it is probably the closest thing to understanding what we're going through right now. But even so, it's not exactly, because what we're going through now is, like everything, just like radically unprecedented.
Yeah. And actually, one of the things Nat and I were briefly talking about before the show started was just how unprecedented every move Donald Trump has made so far. Because I told you guys this, I think on the night of the election, or the night that Biden was announced the president-elect, that I believed that it was law that if you were the incumbent president and you lost the election,
right,
you had to concede and you had to say, thanks for being here. Thanks so much.
Right. You do the phone call.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Good sportsmanship. Our country must come together now, and good luck. And let me know if you need anything from a past president. Like, I thought that was like somewhere written in the law, like that you had to do that. But that is not law. That's just common courtesy. And common courtesy is not a thing that Donald Trump has. Whether you like him or not, I don't think anybody looks at him as like, he's very courteous man.
Right.
So that's clearly not what's going to happen. That's clearly not the case. So what could this look like? Like, what are the different things that this could look like? Could Donald Trump at any point just be like, I'm not moving, and then we have to actually physically remove him, which seems to be conversation that's taking place? Or what do you think? I mean, again, all speculation here. It's not like any of us really know, but what could this look like?
So again, like you said, all speculation, but personally, I don't see this like removal, as great theater as that would make.
Aaron Sorkin is writing right now. Aaron Sorkin is currently working on this script. I mean,
it would be fabulous to watch, but I don't see that happening. What it looks like Trump is betting on right now, because his legal avenues are rapidly diminishing, and even if they were to pass, like I said, it probably wouldn't make that much of a difference. His one of the secretaries of the General Services Administration. This is really important because they manage the transition, and I'll get into why this is really dangerous in a second. But basically, the General Services Administration. So they manage, they're one of the teams in the White House that manages the transition, and kind of think of them like the real estate bureau. Like they allocate like the offices and like the computers and the different resources to help with the transition.
It's a multi-person team.
Yes. Yeah, it's like it's a department in the White House. Wow. I'm sure they do other things, but like this is like their primary focus. And
like picture them waiting for 4 years just for this one thing to do. Like they're just like
so, okay, we're ready. And then it's like not so fast. You guys can't do anything.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's like a New Yorker cartoon right now. Yeah, right there. No, I'm sure they do other things. But basically the head of that, she said that that the only official there's been no official calling of the election, it's only been called by the press, and so they have no reason to follow that. And so what this is all going to come down to is, don't forget, guys, the Electoral College. And just because the people have voted, this now means that the electors have to go to DC and vote in person. That's going to happen on December 14th. And so they are supposed to vote on behalf of what their delegates. I'm drawing blanks. Yeah. But of what the people have spoken. Now, it actually has happened in the past that there have been what they call faithless electors, and they just go rogue and do what they want. But the official vote by the electors happens on December 14th. So it's unlikely that Trump is going to concede before then. There are all these like complicated maneuvers that he can do to try to move like the Electoral College in his favor. They're also hard for me to understand. I was just kind of reading about that. And again, it's just all hypotheticals, but I think what's going to happen is December 14th will come around. The electors will vote as they're supposed to. And he's going to slowly, little by little, be left with fewer and fewer options. And he will leave unwillingly. He will leave willingly, but still defiant.
Yeah,
still defiant, still adamant that he won the election, that it was unfair. And he will take that base with him who believe that he was duped. And probably launch Trump TV and take on Fox News and like start his own like media, like continue his media world and as the rightful president. That's what I think.
I have tons of questions for you about that with Trump TV and all of that. But before we get into that, Larry Lee's reminding everybody to hit that like button. He says, just do it.
Hey, thanks, Larry.
Do it. We really appreciate that. Also, going back to something a little more sweet to talk about. Morse code Z in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar said that he's not in the chat today, but that's the most adorable thing I've ever seen, or at least in a while, talking about your dog. My cousin have had labs all my life. Such beautiful, fun, and good. If trained dogs, jealous. So they're loving the dogs still now.
I know. Look, he's so chill. Look at him.
I know.
He just he wakes up for a few minutes a day and then he goes crazy and then he goes back and he's like, "Oop, I'm pooped."
I know, it is kind of wild. Make sure you guys are getting your questions, comments, all of that in now. But I do want to ask on what you just said, Nat. Do you think that is Trump's next move? Is he going to start a competitor company to like Fox News, which obviously has turned on him relatively quickly? And is he going to pull somebody like a Tommy Lauren or what? Because she clearly is ride or die for him. I mean, if you're looking at her Twitter, it's unbelievable.
The spin that they come up with is really astonishing. But I wouldn't even go so far as to say that Fox has turned on him, because like Fox at the end of the day,
those are his words. His words, not
right. And it's like there was just no way to spin this. And also, so Fox polling is a separate department. Like Fox polling is a very credible, reputable, institution, and they apparently, from what I hear, they do really good polling and vote reporting. Then Fox News is really entertainment, and and that's its own thing. And still a ton of like the Fox News shows I've seen, and like you said, Tony, Lauren, whatever, and like Lauren, like whatever, and then like Laura Ingraham, she did this other thing, like just trying to put lipstick. What's that saying? Like put lipstick on a
flaming turd. I don't know.
It's like, it's like put lipstick. It's like put lipstick on a horse. It's like an animal on the toad. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just drawing blanks
on a flaming turd. That wasn't it?
Trying to put it's a toad. Try to put lipstick on a toad and just like spin it and make it. Anyway, I don't know what he's going to do next. I would not be surprised at all if he does go this kind of like media empire route and continue that. I also, and this is, guys, completely just me throwing shit out there. And this is not validated by anything at all. This is just my personal opinion. Would not be surprised if he gets a shit ton of civil suits as soon as he's not the president anymore. And maybe he has to flee to one of those countries that he has made such good friends with.
He knows that's coming, and he knows it's a possibility because he's not, I'm going to eat my words on this, but he's not stupid in terms of the fact that
no, he's not at all. He's very smart.
He knows that he is going to be in trouble if he doesn't have the protection of the presidency. There's definitely things that they could come down on him for. And I think that is something that he is a really real possibility in his mind, and why he is one of the reasons he's fighting tooth and nail to hold on to the seat for 4 more years. But we will see what happens there. It's gonna be interesting to see all of it, because regardless of, again, if you like him or not, half this country, a little less than half, but still almost half, fucking adores him and will probably follow him wherever he goes. So
he has. We cannot underestimate's the wrong word. Like, we have to give credit where credit is due. He got the most votes of any Republican candidate in history. Biden got the most of any Democrat. I mean, like, voter turnout voter turnout goes up significantly every single election. You can look at the numbers. I mean, it's in the tens of millions that it increases every election. But 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. And what's been really upsetting for me to see, and is just really not helpful, is a lot of, Democrats or liberals on Twitter being like, ha, fuck you, like we won, like stick it, like I hope you get what you deserve, and like all of these like really nasty, mean comments. And this is not helpful. This is like, this is just so not the way to approach. It's not how I would have liked. It's not how I would have liked Trump supporters to react when Trump won, and it's not the way that Biden supporters should be reacting when Biden wins. At the end of the day, like, we are all Americans, and we really need to heal these divides that we have, because it's catastrophic. And so this negative attitude is.
Biden keeps sending that message. So it's like the people who voted for Biden hopefully can adopt that message, that he is planning on ruling this country for all of the people, all of the Americans, not just the people who voted for him. And I agree. I understand why people were celebrating in the streets. I get it, because
celebrating is one thing. Celebrating is one thing. Like, but actually tweeting hateful things is quite another.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, I will tell you guys that a lot of you guys know that I have one close, very, very right-wing friend. And we have had a tumultuous relationship in the past, even on air, because him and I disagree on legitimately everything. But he is my friend. And I don't even know how that happened, but he is. And that, like, is the truth. So after it was announced that Biden won, I texted him and I reached out and I said, "Are you okay?" And he responded and said, "Yeah, just curious, why are you asking me that?" And I said, "Well, because if Biden had lost, I would want somebody to check in on me."
I would not be okay.
And he was like, no, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And he was like, and he was not saying anything along the lines of, but Trump maybe won. He was like,
right.
Now that Biden has been elected, this country needs to move forward. I appreciate you reaching out. And I hope that we can find a way for us to have a more moderate discussion about things. And depending on what happens in the Senate, hopefully things might be a little more balanced. And I just was happy to like reach out to him because I'm not going to spit on his grave. Like this is a huge deal for people. And the people who didn't want Biden to win didn't want Biden to win as much as I didn't want Trump to win. Like it's
of course. Of course. And at the end of the day, it's like, at the end of the day, we talked about this a little bit last time. Like you have to come from a place of assuming the best in people. Most people, regardless of their politics, are not bad, evil people who want, who like want bad things to happen. Like they genuinely believe in their convictions. Is there too much ideology right now everywhere, all around the world? Yeah, in part due to social media and like traditional media and polarization and parties and like all of these things. But at the end of the day, like we really do need to come together. I'm hopeful, but I'm not very optimistic that Biden will be able to do that, especially with so much Senate control, like Republican control in the Senate. And with Mitch McConnell still there, like Biden probably has a chance of doing it just because he has like deep relationships.
Yeah, but Biden worked together for a long time.
Yeah,
we talk about the Senate for a second now, because obviously we've been so focused on who's going to be the next president of the United States that we haven't talked that much about the Senate, which is obviously ridiculously important, especially now that we do have a, I keep saying if, now that we do have a Democrat who's going to be president.
Exactly.
What happens in the Senate really matters. And we don't know right now who's going to have the majority. Obviously, we're waiting on this Georgia, what is it called? Not rematch. Georgia.
Well, they're doing a recount, but they haven't yet. I don't think it's triggered.
The re-vote in Georgia, what's happening with the Senate, how they have to like go back and vote because nobody hit that 50%, whatever the word is for that.
Gosh.
There is one, whatever's going on in Georgia. But what are you thinking in terms of the Senate right now? Like if it is a Republican, the Senate has a Republican majority, do you think that Biden will be able to move any laws forward or move anything forward? Or do you think, similar to what happened to Obama, he's going to hit a wall multiple times and there's really not going to be that much progress over the next 4 years or 2 years?
So I think, I think that he will get blocked a lot if history shows. I mean, right now, Congress, it's like they behave like children. It's like, well, you did this to me, so now I'm going to do this back to you. And there's like a lot of Democrats that are really pissed off about like how they pushed through a Supreme Court justice and just the way that Mitch McConnell has handled many things. He's been incredibly effective, and that's why Democrats are pissed. And then there's also, like the impeachment trial. I wouldn't be surprised if the Senate now comes through and says, oh, we're going to impeach him on Ukraine. And just to like this tit for tat that is just so unproductive. So that's one thing that I'm concerned about. We're going to have to wait and see. But something else that's actually quite interesting and an opportunity, or like a sign of possible like collaboration. I don't know what the word even is, but is because, I don't even know if like, I guess what I'm saying is like an interesting sign is the blue wave that was expected did not happen. So Biden, like the presidency won, that says a lot about, but a lot of Republican people in Congress won. And so that says that it shows me that I think it was more about the person itself than the ideas, perhaps. But the fact that the Democrats, in particular, the farther left Democrats, many of them didn't get seats. They don't have like a very strong power in the House right now, or in Congress. That says to me that Biden is actually going to be able to rule more moderately. He's going to be able to be a more moderate president because he won't have this powerful like faction of the Democratic Party, the far left, like the Sanders, AOC, Warren, which is what scares the hell out of a lot of conservatives. Like, I mean, talk to the Republicans in Miami, talk to like a ton of our friends in California, you know, a lot of immigrant minority groups, like they are scared shitless of socialism. And the Trump campaign has been incredibly effective at labeling Biden as a socialist. It's not true. I don't think for a second that he's a socialist, but fear mongering has been incredibly effective. And so now the fact that this like farther left faction of the Democratic Party, which by the way, I don't view personally as like socialism in the way that the Trump campaign is describing them. Like there's a big difference between Norway and Venezuela, but we can like, that's for another conversation. But the fact that they don't have as strong a hold as they probably would have liked to says that Biden will not have to cater to that side as much. And so he'll probably be able to be a more like conservative, or sorry, it's not conservative, more moderate. Like it'll be a little more balanced. So that could be a good thing. A shitty thing if you know are on the side of Bernie, the left, but if you're a Bernie, but overall, we'll probably be able to push more through because change happens really, really slowly. You know, it takes a long, long time, and so it's upsetting for a lot of Bernie supporters. Probably, but
when it comes to Bernie, I have a good friend who you guys, Dorina Ariano, who does a show called Impolite Truths, where they talk about what's happening in politics and whatnot. And she wholeheartedly believes that Bernie would have wiped the floor with Trump, that he would have annihilated Trump, that he would have done better than Biden did. And I feel as if that's not the case. I feel as if this election showed us anything, it was that Biden was the only Democrat or the only Democratic candidate. And, I voted for Elizabeth Warren, but the only Democratic candidate who had a chance against Biden because he is more moderate, because he is older white dude and people like recognize that. I feel like that was the only chance we actually had, which is not something I was thinking during the primaries. Or not something that I believed during the primaries. Do you feel like there was another Democratic candidate that would have performed even stronger against Trump? Or do you think that Biden performed as strongly as any Democratic candidate could during this election?
Again, all speculation, right? We've seen the polls, like pollsters are now like the enemy of the state, like just like no one really knows. But I agree with you. I think COVID really threw everything for a loop. I think without COVID, Trump wins the election.
Me too. COVID led to us having BLM would not have been what it was if people were not able to be home and pay attention. So like COVID was the catalyst, but then there were so many other things that took place.
Exactly. And it showed like his complete incompetence, his complete lack of empathy, his completely imbalanced response to peaceful protesters. I mean, all of his behavior over the last few months, I think a lot of people, I think it swayed a lot of voters would be my guess. But also the fact that so many people still voted for him, still voted for him in spite, 70 million. But the fact that so many people still did says a lot. And I really do think because, okay, I'm from Miami, I'm from Dade County. Dade County it's traditionally blue. It went red. It went for Trump. It went overwhelmingly for Trump. Trump went like Latino voters that everyone was like, oh, we got Latinos in the bag. Like, no, Latinos went really strongly for Trump. And like he gained Latino support. He gained Latino support this election since 2016. And so what this goes to show, I really do think that the Biden campaign has not done enough to counteract these like this socialism fear mongering claim. I actually want to do a video at some point when I have a chance on like what is socialism, because there's so much fear, there's so much confusion, and it's such a loaded word. And what the fuck does socialism even mean? Like there's so many like different meanings for it.
Well, this is why my friend Dorina, who is Latina, she said that she thought Bernie would have won more so because she said that Bernie really had the Latinx vote. She said that he did a really great job with that, but I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And again, like, what do I know? But like you said, Latino men voted overwhelmingly for Trump. Bernie is very strong amongst millennials. And I do think that this is a generational thing. And I think that Bernie played an incredibly important role in bringing so many of these conversations to the table and speaking to the voices of, and like the pains and the needs of millions and millions of people. But I do think that it's going to take a couple of a generation or maybe two, for these ideas to become the norm. Because like when you and I are adults, right? These ideas that Bernie brought up 20 years earlier are not going to be so radical anymore. They're not going to be so shocking. Like we grew up with them, you know. And for the baby boomer generation, for the generation that grew up during the Cold War, for the immigrants that fled the Vietnam War with communism, that fled Chinese communism, that currently are fleeing Venezuela for like the most horrific management of government that we've seen in the 21st century. Like the Cubans, like this is very recent. And I am not in a position to judge. I know personally, like I grew up with Cubans in Miami. My boyfriend's family is Vietnamese. Like I personally know very, very well and love very much people who have fled horrific, you know, situations that I can't even fathom. And so who am I to,
I mean, we're Jews. Like, that's
judge.
our blood, in our blood.
So we got the generational, we get the generational credit, the brownie points.
100%. But it is interesting what you're saying about these ideas being introduced, because what's so funny, and you guys know, I've had Grammy call into the show since the election. She's been calling in.
Has she?
Yeah, which is amazing.
Stop.
She is one of the most liberal 93-year-olds I've ever met in my life. And she, in the primary, she voted for Klobuchar. And of course, she voted for Joe Biden. And she has been protesting and marching in every women's march and every LGBTQIA march since she was, you know, a young person, like since she was in her teenage years. But that being said, she did not love Bernie Sanders. She said she would have voted for him had she had to, but that was not her first, second, or third pick. And he's Jewish, and so that
I was gonna say, is the Israel thing part of it? Because he's not, like, he might be Jewish, but he's like the least Jewish, like the way that we see it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that you would think that would be a point in his direction, because there's never been a Jew in the White House, and so you would think the Jews would be rallying around Bernie Sanders. But for the most part, they really weren't. So I do think it's interesting. It probably goes back to what you said, that just like he's introducing new ideas. And if you're 93 years old and you've never thought about something before, even for you, that can be like a lot to take in.
It's a lot, of course.
It's just a lot.
Yeah. And think about the people who went to school, you know, having drills to hide under desks because you might get nuked by the communists.
Right.
Like this is not long ago. You know, and there are people who, and we see it very much with our representatives in Congress today, that look at the world as very black and white. There are winners and there are losers. I did an interview actually about, and this came up in this recent interview I did with a linguistics professor, Professor Lakoff, and we were talking about how this like black and white zero-sum game view of the world, and Trump really pushes this. It's like we can only win at the cost of someone else. Like we can only win if China fails, for example. And that's a very Cold War mentality. It was a bipolar world. It was either communism or capitalism won. Like the two could not coexist. And we're growing up in a completely different world. And we view, like, we live in a multipolar world. We live in a world where there are many powerful players, and there are there's more complexity. It's just a completely different dynamic. And it's really, really hard to get out of, you know, the ideas that you were brought up on. And, you know, we'll be having this same conversation with our grandkids, our children, you know,
you're going to have somebody else who's presenting ideas, and you and I are going to be the people who are like, like a lot, but hopefully, you know, I do think that what we do need right now in terms of the next 4 years, somebody moderate could be good in terms of bringing our country a little more together. But at some point, we're going to have to push these boundaries a little more, because people still don't have their human rights. Like we still don't have universal health care. We still don't have things that like we're going to have to take a look at, and it's not just going to go away. But for the next 4 years, I do like the idea of having a president that gets along with Republicans and Democrats. I do like that concept. If he,
I love the idea of not hearing about the president every single day.
Yeah.
You know, like waking up and having some crazy news
every morning.
Like I just like don't I want to like not I just want to breathe. Like you said, I want to not think about it for a little bit. So and I think Biden has kind of alluded to this idea. I mean, I don't think he'll seek a second term. And he kind of has alluded to the idea that he is kind of the steward, you know, and he's going to kind of like be in this transitional period as we heal and recover from like everything that's happened mostly this year, but like the last 4 years. Then, you know, then we'll see what happens in 4 years. But I do think that we need some sort of stability right now. Like we just can't rock the boat too much. And we really need to heal because our country is still incredibly divided, and we need to find a way to bring people together.
Because we need to heal while also like figuring out what to do with our fucking police officers, and we need to heal while also figuring out how to mass distribute a vaccine, and we need to there's so many things that are going on. He's got a tough job ahead of him, but we do have more questions coming in.
Yes,
Super Chat, Streamlabs, Patreon, tons of stuff still happening here. Comments as well. Kenneth Dowling, Kenneth.
Yeah.
Hi, Nathalia. I agree with you that Dems as well as Republicans should not be tweeting hate speak. That's nice that you checked on your friend, Roxy. Yeah, because in no world are Nat and I ever going to be like hate speaks the move.
Like, right. Like first of all, it's wrong. And it's like, it's just not productive.
Yeah, it's not helpful. It's not helpful. And that's what you have to ask yourself. If you're saying something to somebody else, is this useful? Is what I'm saying useful? What?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wanted to actually tell a story to you guys about like pettiness. But basically after we were talking about the General Services Administration that handled the transition. And after Bush v. Gore and like that whole, the Supreme Court hearing, that whole chaos with the recount, the Clinton administration was like so pissed that Gore lost, because remember, Gore was their vice president. Like they worked for Gore. They were so pissed that they did all of these. It's kind of like infamous. They did all these like crazy things like during the transition. Like they removed all the W's from the keyboards in the White House. You know, like George W. Like like petty, stupid shit, right?
Is that real or is that rumor?
No, it's real. No, I mean, who knows? But like that's been like a known thing. They've been talking about it for a long time, and apparently, like President Bush was so annoyed and upset at the way that the Clinton administration like handled the transition, that he went out of his way to manage the Obama transition like personally and make sure that the Obamas were treated with respect. And I mean, Michelle talks about this in her book, which I've read. I didn't know the backstory, but the Bushes could not have been more gracious. And then Obama treated Trump with that same grace. And what we're seeing now, obviously, like we should not expect grace from this president at all. But what is really dangerous that's happening right now is in this, I keep mentioning it, the General Services Administration, because they're not conceding the election, they're not offering any like real estate office space in the White House for the transition. So Biden is essentially managing the transition from his basement, like with Zoom calls and shit. Like they don't have the like if you think of it from a national security perspective and the fact that like we need to manage this pandemic, we have all this shit that we have to manage, and the president-elect and his team are not able to get into the White House to set up their offices, to get the fucking passwords. Like, think of all like the logistics. Like, these are things that we take for granted, but they are not being aided and supported in like these crucial months. And that's really dangerous.
What do you think? Because some of our things are so antiquated. Like some of the things that we do are just because we've done them forever, but obviously one of them being the popular vote versus Electoral College. I mean, we could talk about that forever, but do you believe that a president should no longer be able to hold office for 2 terms? And would that fix a lot of these problems? Like, do you believe that it should be more, less? And again, this is all opinion based, but like if Trump was not running for re-election, then I don't think he'd be petty at all about this if the Republican Party lost, whoever they were running, because he doesn't give a shit about the Republican Party. He cares.
Right.
He only cares that he personally lost. So I do think that a lot of the transition period is difficult because if you are the incumbent and you lose, then you are probably petty and pissed, bitter. But if you are George,
but you're the president.
Bush, no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if you ran your 2 terms as president and you didn't just run and you didn't just lose, it's probably a lot easier to be like, Clintons, let me welcome you into the home that I'm leaving, that I'm only leaving because I didn't run. Like, you know?
Okay, sure, it's easier, but like, dude, you're the fucking president. You've had to do much harder things in those 4 years that you were there.
Definitely.
You know, it's like, no, like, I'm sorry, but being like doing the right thing is just, and like respecting the Americans, like respecting, at the end of the day, we forget that they work for us. Like, I don't have time for your petty bullshit and your drama. Like, you work for me, you know, like, I don't give a shit. So like, that's something that we always, like, we always like tend to kind of forget, but we're paying for this and they serve us. So, to your question about like the terms, whatever, I'm going to say something very, very unpopular, but, and scandalous, but in my opinion, the best form of government is a benevolent dictator. Now, you run the risk. No, but let me finish. You run the risk if you have a system that enables a benevolent dictator, then you also run the risk of getting a really horrible dictator. Therefore, the risk is not worth the benefit. And that's why democracy is actually the best. But in theory, if we could take away the messiness of democracy and the corruption, like all this, and just have like a guaranteed benevolent dictator, which is impossible, but like in theory, that would be the best.
Okay. Well, I'll pitch it.
I said that I'm going to get crucified for that. I can't believe I said that out loud.
No,
I still support democracy is the best option.
Third Turd says juicy hot take. Lemmy says whatever face that is. Kenuput says Nat's on point.
Thanks, Kenuput.
Dude says
look up Lee Kuan Yew. He's like, to me, he is my like political hero. I think he was the greatest politician of the 21st century.
Wow,
Lee Kuan Yew,
AI presidents. I mean, what is happening?
Ooh, that's scary. I don't know about that. Honestly, it could happen.
Yes, AI. No. Oh boy.
Talk about talking to our grandkids. I mean, that's probably going to be the debate. They're going to be like, "I'm voting for a robot." We're going to be like, "You can't vote for a robot."
Oh my God, that would be wild. Okay, going into the Streamlabs, guys. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. A couple things going on in here. G. Smith says, "I agree. Dems shouldn't gloat." But you can't reach across the aisle to an abuser Biden. Republicans have to own their Trump support and make changes with how they communicate with their voters. Maybe stop lying to them. What is that part about to an abuser Biden?
Biden has had allegations for sexual assault as well. And then a lot of conservatives say that this is really unfair because the media, the leftist media, has been very biased in the way that they've reported on Biden versus the way that they've reported on Trump.
Are you talking about the kissing of the head situations, all the forehead kisses and stuff?
Yeah, but then there was also the Tara Reid scandal. And look, a lot of media outlets reported it. So I don't know if there actually was bias. But again, what I would say to that question is like, sure, you have fair points, but again, that's not productive. The same way me saying I don't want to deal with an abuser Trump, saying like, oh, an abuser Biden, like, okay, like let's try to put aside, gosh, this is a hard one. How do I say it? Like, this is like we have to put aside all of these accusations and take the facts and work with what we have and what we're given, and really, really try to find a way to come together on key issues. on key issues, because we're never going to agree on everything. That's ridiculous to even think. But like, let's try to move forward where we can. And like, we have a lot of work to do.
All right, we've got more things coming in. Anthony Crotty in the Streamlab says, what is considered center in the U.S. Or what is considered center in the U.S. is not the center in other parts of the world. As someone from Ireland, I do not understand the U.S. attitudes towards healthcare, gun control, and education.
Totally.
I don't know much about Ireland and what their situation is there, but I'd love to. We have a lot of friends in here, a lot of rock stars who are from Australia. A lot.
Yeah, I was going to say Australia. My family always says that. My family always says in Australia, they're like, your parties aren't even that different, you know? And if you look at so European countries have a parliament, and they have multiple parties, and the parties there, if you look at Vox in Spain, versus like which is like far right, and then like the Partido Socialista, like far left, and I think there's a party even farther left than them, I believe. I'm getting all mixed up now, but if you look at the parties, they're very, very different. Like Europeans and Australia, like they always say, like, you guys aren't actually that different.
Well, it feels like we so are, but this is the only place I've ever lived, so what the fuck do I know? Felipe Hunt in the Streamlab says, America is just a very right-wing country right now. In Australia, our conservative party is more liberal than the Democrats. They support universal health care, pass gun control, and gay marriage. Erica said, shouldn't be afraid to ask for more things. Who's Erica? I don't know. But
Erica?
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe a politician. But that's interesting that your most conservative people are
no. So if any Australians on here can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Liberal Party in Australia is what we consider conservative. It's like the opposite. Yeah. So like the Liberal Party is like pro-business. It's basically like free market liberalism.
That's what he was saying in there, that they're liberals who are really their conservatives but are actually more liberal than our liberals. Like
so it's just a different word.
People. Yeah, he's just saying that the people who are on their right over there are more on the left than even our people on our left, because
I mean like guns, for example.
Yeah,
they did a gun buyback, and the Australians were like, okay, like take my guns. But that's a cultural thing. That's not like I think it's
kind of, but why do we live in a culture that's like cool with people dying from that? Like
that's a whole other conversation, you know, but it's very much embedded in American, and I'm not an American, like I'm speaking, you know, from my understanding is and Americans I've spoken to, it's very much a part of American identity, and it's very important to a lot of people. And most of those people to whom it's important are not shooting up mass schools. Now, like, do we have to fucking deal with the fact that some people are? Like, yeah. And like, that's where I don't understand, like, why we are still having this debate. I just don't get it. What are you I thought you were laughing at me.
I'm not laughing at you. This is how I know I'm tired. Erica was obviously misspelled America.
I was like, no, I don't know who Erica is. I'm just gonna keep talking.
They're all laughing.
Oh my God.
America.
America. Oh my God, Rod.
I was like, Erica must be a politician there. Erica.
Must be a politician there.
Oh my God, it's been exhausting.
You need to get some sleep. It has been exhausting.
G. Smith then corrected the thing about the abuser Biden and said, not what I meant, voted for Biden. Republican Party has acted like an abuser. Do not reach across the aisle to them. G. Smith, I feel like I get what you're saying, but when you double down right now, we are ensuring that our country does not move forward together. Like, if you do not, and I saw all of those GIFs and memes, and I agree with all of them, that if you're voting for Trump, it doesn't mean you're racist. It just means that racism isn't necessarily a deal breaker for you, which I feel that, guys. I feel that anybody who voted for Trump has different priorities than I do, or different beliefs than I do. Not necessarily both, but either different priorities or different beliefs. And that's tough for me. It's tough for me to think that somebody could have a lot of the same beliefs that I do socially, but be voting with their wallet. I don't appreciate that, but
yeah,
that is what happened in a lot of this situation. And so to be like, don't reach across the aisle, what are we supposed to do? Be a country completely divided forever? I want to be the bigger person in this situation. And I want to make sure that our country moves forward and that there isn't this civil unrest, because the further away you push people, the more that we're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Well put. And also we've seen this this decline over each presidential term for the last like several presidents of just the politicization of the Congress. And like the one party will do one thing, and then like it's inevitable that it's going to flip. You're not going to be in power forever. That's how democracy works. And then as soon as the next party is in power, they're like, fuck you, we're going to do what you just did. And then it flips again, and then they're like, "Fuck you! We're gonna do it right back at you." And it keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Justices, and we're adding more. Yeah,
it's like, and then the Democrats are gonna be like, "Well, then we're gonna put 9 on the court," and then they're gonna be like, "Well, fuck you! We're gonna eradicate the court." Like, like I don't even know. It's just like, it's like, where does this end? And like, look, I don't know what the solution for this is, because I also get like, you don't want to be weak either. Like, if you know that the other side's playing dirty, how do you play if not dirty? I don't know what the answer to that is, but it's just we are in a really, really, really deep hole, and I don't know how we climb out of it.
Oh, well, you know, that's a very uplifting sentiment. Another question that came in on the Patreon. It's from Erica. No, this one's from Rob.
Hi, Erica.
Rob Fishbeck says, "Hey, Nathalia. Hey, Roxy. Wondering if you've all seen how many of the Trump supporters are leaving Facebook and going to these newer apps like Parler and MeWe, especially after the Stop the Steal group was removed by Facebook last week. Was reading up on it last night and found it interesting. I don't know much about this, Nat. Do you have any idea about this?"
Yeah, I've heard a little bit. I don't know specifics on like what these like dark web for like alternative channels are. However, one thing that I am really concerned about is the fact that like now with a Biden presidency and all this like antagonism as well and whatever, like these sentiments are not going away. Like, just because we have to be very careful to be like, just because we won, like the fight ain't over, you know? And like when we voted in Obama, racism wasn't just over. Like a lot of white people, I think, like patted themselves on the back, like, yay, we voted in the Black president, racism is over. And like, that's so not the fucking case. And we need to like keep this on the national agenda. What really concerns me is that just a lot of these people are just going to go underground. And in a way, it's like really, really hard to live and like see like this kind of rhetoric online and like have to be exposed to it and have to face it on a daily basis. At the same time, there's a very tricky like balance and a lot of arguments to be made for full freedom of speech. I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, and I don't know where I stand on this like free speech debate. I really don't. I haven't formed my opinion yet, but there's a lot to be said about that the internet should be completely free. And I think that when you silence voices, you don't get rid of the ideas. You just send them underground, and they're going to be a lot harder to monitor underground. So I'm concerned about that. I don't know how you deal with it.
There was that Facebook ruling this year, and I think you'll probably be on the same page that I was, but I'm not sure. That was like, you know what we can't do? Allow people to post that the Holocaust didn't exist anymore, because the upcoming generation of people are reading that thinking it's fact. So while you won't silence the thought of the person who's having it, you might prevent future people from having that because they don't even know that it's an option. Like they don't even know it's an option to not believe that Black Lives Matter. They don't even know that it's an option to think that the Holocaust didn't exist. So
and it's so easy to get radicalized online. So maybe it is better that they go underground. They have these little like niche groups. And then if any of them get too dangerous, the FBI is tracking them and whatever. Like maybe that is the solution. Like I said, I don't really know what the solution is, but we just have to be incredibly vigilant that these ideas and these attitudes and like this hate isn't going away. But yeah, it's tricky. I don't know what the solution is.
We are getting out of here pretty soon, so get in any of your last minute questions. I do want to highlight this really quickly.
Cancel America without the Erica. Love it.
Very important, Kate. Thank you for
Love it.
Felipe Hunt says Florida voted big for Trump, yet they passed a $15 million $15 minimum wage, $15 million wage.
Yeah, oh, that would be nice. I'm moving back to Florida.
Measure by a wide margin. We can find common ground on basic issues. Yeah, we saw a lot of places that were going Republican, were voting pro cannabis.
Sorry, my puppy just peed. Sorry.
Oh no, what do we
But
do?
yeah, no, he just peed. It's okay. He's okay, little puppy. Sorry. But yeah, no, we've seen a lot of progressive measures get passed. But it also shows it's a generational shift. Like, to me, legal, like, I think also radical. I think all drugs should be legal. I think that the war. Oh, I saw this meme that was like, how funny, like the war on drugs was won by drugs.
Straight up. Like, and that's what they were talking about on SNL this weekend too. But it's like what's going on in Oregon and all over the place. Like, it's kind of unbelievable.
I mean, the resources that we spend to manage like this like drug. This war on drugs, the wars that we've had overseas, the amount of people that we've incarcerated, like the resources that our government spends on making drugs illegal and then creating this whole black market and whatever. Actually, like if we put that money into like rehabilitation and care and education and blah, 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 whatever, like, I mean, I don't know. That's again, a whole other discussion. But in my mind, like what Oregon did is not like legalizing marijuana. You're a huge supporter of legal marijuana, medicinal marijuana. Like we fucking know that it's better for you to like have medicinal marijuana than half of the pills that doctors will prescribe you completely legally today. Like that to me is not radical. That's not like a very progressive thing. Like that's just normal. And it's becoming more normalized. So things just take time.
Oh boy. It's so true.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on in the Streamlabs still, so let's get through these before we have to let Nat go. Glenn Caesar, thank you for this reminder. He said, Roxy, just to keep the daily reminders, Miles Cosgrove, Brett Hankinson, Jonathan McNally, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor for killing Breonna Taylor, all three of them. We've been saying that every single day on this show I can't even count the amount of days at this point, but this is something that we're going to have to fucking see what happens with the Biden administration. We're going to have to see how they start handling Black Lives Matter and the movement and everything with police officers. As a moderate leader, what he's going to do here, it's going to be really fascinating to watch, but we'll keep talking about it.
And I know we're out of time, but we haven't even talked about Kamala and what a presence she could potentially be.
Massive.
So that's an exciting thing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think she did such an excellent job with her speech as well. With her, I call it a victory speech, but I don't know if that's the real name for it.
I mean, it was a victory speech. Yeah. Like it was a victory speech. She was excellent. Like Madam Vice President-elect. So fucking exciting too. That to me is the most exciting thing to come out of this election is
because we've never seen
a Black, Asian, female VP who honestly could be president one day. Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
She really could. And we'll see how she is as vice president, but I just have to say that so far, so good for me. So far.
Yeah, agreed.
Glenn also said, since I felt like bringing it back today, remember when Viola Davis told us there's value in each and every one of us, even if we don't feel it ourselves. We never depreciate and value. You're kind, you're smart, you're important, and so you are worthy. I think that's such a beautiful message.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her. She's so fantastic in my eyes. Everything she says is gold.
Yeah, she really is. Oh my God, you guys keep sending things in. This is amazing. Nat, do you have a few more minutes or are you dying?
I do have to run, but I can do like another minute. I'll try not to talk so much so I can answer more questions.
Just leave me when you have to. But Anthony Karate says in Ireland, our beat cops do not carry guns. There is armed police, but they are specialized units. Firearms are heavily licensed here. College is free except for yearly registration fees in the region of 4,000. Is that €1? And then food and accommodation is separate. It's so wild how different places are.
Yeah.
DL Short in the Streamlabs says, we need to get out of our echo chambers to listen to the other side and recognize our similarities. Love that.
Love that.
Glenn said, thank you for giving us another really great show. This was awesome. Have a super happy, fuck yeah, news-filled rest of your day, your week, your month, and your year.
I love you, Glenn.
The best.
Yeah, let's end it here. I'll
end
on a happy note. Wait.
Perfect. Roxy, Natalia, and Rockstars, stay superific.
Bye.
Love bunnies and smash cancer.
Bye, guys. I'm going to end on a happy note.
Bye, honey. Bye. Everybody say bye to Nat.
Bye, Zai.
You're the best, honey. I'll take you out right
guys.
now. But go follow her. All her information's right there. She talks about this stuff on her channel all the time, too. And on her.
You'll be seeing a lot more of him, too.
We'll see you in 1 month residency.
Sounds good. Bye. Can't wait.
Bye. All right. As we are getting out of here, first of all, Natalia is freaking great. Sorry to rush through some of these Streamlabs. I just want to give you guys all the attention and love you deserve. So Glenn Caesar and DL Short and Anthony Crotty and G Smith and Felipe Hunt and Morse Code Z and everybody who supported today in the Streamlabs and also in the Super Chat. I really appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, please like this video. Please leave a comment after the fact. That really helps with the algorithm. So as soon as this ends, if you guys could leave a comment on there, that would mean the world to me. Subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, get the rock stars in here so that we can build this community. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. live at the Roxy, and then also for World Girl Wednesday at night. You guys are the freaking best. I know it's coming to a quick and swift ending, but still don't forget to make your beds, do what you can to be that 1% happier, all of those things that really matter. And I know it's not a popular opinion, but reach across the aisle because we're going to have to find a way to make it. I know it's not our jobs. It's not our responsibility, but it will be helpful if we start mending this gap and helping people see that we can move forward. That's only going to make us spread more love, not hate. And to me, that's always a good thing. So anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. Much love and see you then.